What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including Jeff Hardy's tearful tribute to The Undertaker, Smackdown spoilers for Christmas, Trish Stratus' new role in the WWE, MVP actually wins gold for the Hurt Business, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Now, our first story looks at Jeff Hardy's tearful tribute to The Undertaker. The Undertaker's final farewell at this year's Survivor Series saw a number of WWE superstars come to the ring to acknowledge the Phenom's 30 years of greatness in the WWE, but that was by no means the only tribute. During a recent interview with Digital Spy's Stephanie Chase, Jeff Hardy talked about how he honored The Undertaker by painting The Undertaker's symbol on his face. The Undertaker's symbol was on the locker rooms that day, and I said, I think I can paint that on my face. And so I went there. I had 45 minutes to paint it, and it turned out so cool. The respect and just like bowing down to the dead man because he's such a legacy and such a legend. The charismatic Enigma's 2002 ladder match against The Undertaker is often cited as the moment when Jeff Hardy showed he could be much more than just a tag team competitor. This led on to him saying great things about The Undertaker. Me being a young Jeff Hardy and going in there with a legend, the Hall of Famer known as The Undertaker, he's pretty much like superhuman. For him to do what he did for me, I owe him so much. He helped me so much as far as what he did for me back then in that ladder match, and I'll never be able to repay him. Hardy is just one of the many young superstars who The Undertaker helped get over during his WWE career. A absolutely lovely tribute. Next up, Trish Stratus' new role in WWE. Now, the 7-time WWE Women's Champion and Diva of the Decade said she spoke with current Performance Center head coach Matt Bloom, who Stratus managed when he performed as Albert alongside Test in TNA, about helping out younger superstars in NXT. The 3-time WWE Babe of the Year said she'd love to work alongside Fit Finlay as a producer, but she doesn't want to be on the road. She mentioned on the Women's Wrestling podcast,
I would like to, I love the idea of it. The reality is it comes with the road, right? And I just can't do the road because of my family. I couldn't, just at this point anyway, I'm just saying they're young now. I have a 3-year-old, Max just turned 7. So at this point, would be nothing, I just couldn't go back on the road like that, leave my family like that. But I'd love to contribute in some way. It was nice to go back those couple times and just work with the girls and see how their minds work, and then telling the art of storytelling and seeing that working with Fit again, it got me stimulated, and him and I were like this little we're like frickin' frack where we just had that connection.
Trish is returning to the WWE as a presenter for the 2020 Slammy Awards to honor the female superstar of the year. A return to the PC isn't out of the question though.
I would love to contribute in some way, and I've talked to Matt Bloom, my former partner, about possibly going to NXT. We've talked about it on a number of occasions. It's just never, the right time has never come about to do that. But yeah, I'd love to, and I love working with young minds, and that was the best part of Tough Enough, was just to work with these kids and do that sort of thing. So yeah, for sure.
With rumors of The Undertaker working in the PC and Trish Stratus too, young wrestlers could have some of the greatest minds in the business helping them. What a great time for aspiring wrestlers to hone their craft. Next up, huge spoilers for this week's Smackdown. Now, this week's Smackdown will air on Christmas, so if you don't have the time to watch, and I probably won't, I'll just probably will watch highlights. Yes, I love watching wrestling, but I love my family even more. At least the WWE has done us a favor and taped the 25th December edition of the Blue Brand, and Ringside News has posted all the results on its Reddit page. Virtual fans watched the show, and that's undoubtedly where the spoilers came from. However, don't rule out the possibility of WWE reshooting finishes or these reports being inaccurate. In other words, take everything with a proverbial grain of salt. But if you don't want to watch SmackDown this week, here are the final results. Skip ahead if you don't want to listen to them. Firstly, Universal Champion Roman Reigns defended the title against Kevin Owens in a steel cage match with an assist from Jey Uso. Apparently, Uso cuffed Owens to the cage, interfering again in the Tribal Chiefs match. What the hell was the point in the cage then? Well, Reigns came out the win nevertheless. They also had the women's tag team champions Asuka and Charlotte successfully defend the belts in a triple threat match against the teams of Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks, along with Bayley and Carmella. Banks pinned Bayley and the champions then retained, but the details of who was pinned or forced to submit were not mentioned. The next match on the card was Daniel Bryan defeating Jey Uso in singles competition, and as we speculated, it looks like Bryan will be going after Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship next. And finally, the Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn put the belt up against Big E in a lumberjack match. The lumberjack match stipulation came in handy for Big E as the lumberjack stopped Zayn from running away, allowing Big E to hit the big end for the pin and his second Intercontinental Championship. Both those were the results. Unfortunately, we won't be doing a good, bad and ugly on this week's Smackdown as we're still in the holidays. But I'll definitely be back for Raw. Next up, Steve Austin's $14,000 celebration. Wrestling fans who attend TV tapings like Raw and Smackdown know that just because the TV show is over doesn't mean the action in the arena is over. In fact, not too long ago, the WWE released a DVD set, Raw After the Show, which featured some of the best moments from when Raw went off the air. Stone Cold Steve Austin enjoyed making an appearance after the show, cracking open a few Steve wires and interacting with the fans. But on one occasion though, it cost WWE $14,000. Appearing on the Pat McAfee show, he dished out the details. According to Austin, Vinnie Mac called him into the office with some costly news. He goes, "God damn it, Steve, you cost me $14,000 extra last night. It was overtime on the crew." So he's calling me out because I just cost him $14,000 just for the crew to stay overtime. I'm like, "I'll split it with you." He goes, "God damn it, I don't want your money, I'm just telling you, come on in a little bit earlier." We used to do that shit all the time. Towards the end, Kevin Dunn in the truck, he'd finally just get on the horn to the house and go, "Steve, come on in." That's how we rolled back in the day, man. We were gonna give you your money's worth. The production costs of running a wrestling show are astonishing. Suddenly WWE managed to save considerable cash due to it running its TV and pay-per-views out of one location during the pandemic rather than touring across various arenas. Next up, Kenny Omega wrestling at Impact pay-per-view. The current AEW World Champion Kenny Omega continues to appear in Impact Wrestling, and now the cleaner is scheduled for a match at Impact's upcoming Hard to Kill pay-per-view. While Omega won't be defending the AEW title, he will be teaming with former Bullet Club teammates Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows as they take on Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns. Next up, Stone Cold talks working in a film with The Rock. WWE Hall of Famer Stone Cold Steve Austin no longer wrestles, but he stays busy with film and television projects, which raises the question whether Austin would ever appear alongside The Rock, who is one of Hollywood's biggest stars. Pat McAfee asked the Texas Rattlesnake about this when he stopped by the Pat McAfee show, and Austin didn't hold back, pointing out that might mess with his credibility a little bit. He's worked long and hard and people forget how long he's been out there in the acting world now. He's been out there longer acting than he was in wrestling. He'll always be known as a wrestler and one of the top entertainers of all time. He's the biggest movie star in the world. I think he takes his credibility very serious, and he doesn't need me to do a buddy flick with him to stay on top being the number one guy. It is what it is. I'm not looking to do that movie, by the way, so that's why. Austin has appeared in several action movies, but nothing as successful as The Rock's films. The Bionic Redneck didn't rule out a role alongside The Rock, saying, "But if The Rock wanted to do that movie, all he'd have to do was say, 'Hey dude, come up with this.' Is it gonna happen? No, but people always ask me and that's why. It's the integrity of his career and he doesn't need to do it. I wouldn't press it to do it anyway." And finally, MVP wins a jiu-jitsu competition. And last but not least, the Hurt Business all have gold on Raw, with Bobby Lashley holding the US Championship and the team of Shelton and Cedric Alexander currently reigning as Raw Tag Team Champions. However, what about MVP? Well, recently the Hurt Business Executive Vice President of Talent Acquisitions and Managing Partner posted a picture of the Hurt Business with their gold, and he had a gold of his own, a gold medal that is. MVP tweeted the details saying, "For the people that have been asking what medal I'm holding in this photo, let me inform you. On Saturday, I won a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu World Championship competing in the IBJJF Masters Tournament. The Hurt Business had an eventful weekend. Now you know." And don't forget, a new Behind the Titantron/Final Bell will be released on Christmas Day, as we look at the rise and fall of Marty Jannetty. Yeah, nothing like a depressing video to get you in the holiday spirit. Merry Christmas, everybody. But there you have it, guys, the wildest wrestling news, stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Facebook for exclusive lists, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.